Very good afternoon. Myself, Dr. Ravi Kumar Poluru. Today's topic is engineering anti-graphs. So till now we have discussed about the management anti-graphs. Okay, in the last class we have discussed the management anti-graphs. So there, now we'll see today's topic is engineering anti-graphs. This engineering anti-graphs is mainly used to discuss about the how the software, okay, how the software is development, okay, software development, and also it will be mainly used for the project execution, okay, project execution. So in this engineering anti-graphs, it mainly deals about the how the software will be developed and also the execution of project execution. Okay, so today we are going to discuss in detail about the engineering anti-graphs. In the engineering anti-graphs, mainly it will be consisting of, okay, vision document. So today we are going to discuss about the vision document in the engineering anti-graphs and architectural description. So this is the architectural description we are going to discuss in the engineering anti-graph and software user manual. So accordingly, in the standard textbook, so these are the main three criteria we are going to discuss about the vision document and architectural description and software user manual. Now, other than that, we already discussed about the engineering sets. We know that engineering sets is divided into 5 types. The first one is requirement. Next one is design, or we can call as the architecture. And third one is implementation. And the fourth one is deployment. Okay, and the last one, so we know that engineering sets is divided into 5 types. So requirement, design, implementation, deployment, and the last one is management. So these management sets we can call as management anti-graphs. In that management anti-graphs, previous class we have discussed that WBS, that is work breakdown structure, and structure, and mainly in the management anti-graphs of the sets, it will be, we are going to discuss about business use case. Okay, and the last one is software development plan. Okay, so these two topics, engineering sets and management sets, we are already discussed. We know that in the management sets or the anti-graphs, the first one is work breakdown structure. So we know that WBS is mainly applicable for the complex problems. Okay, if the problem is complex, then we are considering this complex problem and dividing into a subdivisions, or we can easily tell that it will be divide and conquer. It means the complex problem can be subdivided into a small modules. After completion of these modules can be clubbed into a single unit. So it will be very easy to minimize the complexity of the problem. Okay, and the business use case, we know that business use case is mainly used to deal about the what is the whether we need to take up this project. So if you are going to consider this project, what is the profit and what is the loss will be applicable for the organization. So they are going to have the different types of the business use cases in the organization. This is very important. They need to consider the business case. So this business case is very helpful to understand what is the main impact of the organization and how the software project will be very helpful and gaining the more profit during this tenure of the software project completion. Okay, so today's we are going to discuss about these engineering artifacts. Okay, so the first one is vision document. So we know that engineering artifacts or the sets is mainly used for the visualizations. Okay, so these can be used for the visualizations and okay, so this can be mainly implemented for the UML diagrams. Okay, so these engineering artifacts are captured in rigorous engineering. Okay, notations such as we know that UML is nothing but unified. Okay, unified model language. So this UML is mainly used to have the different types of the notations such as the objects, class, and deployment. Okay, packages and different types of the notations will be there for programming executable and executable vision codes here. And also here we have the three engineering artifacts are there. The first one is vision document. So we know that the vision document is mainly helpful for to gain the complete vision of the software. Okay, so in this vision document we can have they need to provide the complete vision for the software system, and it has to support the contract between the funding authority as well as the development organization. So this vision document is mainly applicable. They need to set that. So what is a vision and mission? Okay, so vision is for the organization and vision for the particular project. Okay, or particular work they need to complete here. So this whether they can consider the project as a huge or they can consider the project as a minimal here. When they are taking the project as a huge military standard, this can be have 300 system specifications or it can be more than 300. And also small can be have the 2 pages white paper. So this can be differ from the different types of the projects. So whether they can consider the small or they can consider the huge project. So this can be how the different types of the pages. And also the project needs the source capturing the expectations among the stakeholders. So when they are going to discuss about the project, they need to have the main discussion with the stakeholders as well as the management, so that it will be very smoothly what is the criteria of the software project. So whether it is a lengthy or it can be a minimal of the software project. And also the project vision is mainly depends upon the initially they can have the clear vision about the project. So based upon the requirements, this project can be changeable. Okay, so changeable as a understanding evolves. So based upon the requirements, they can have the they can update the visions. Okay, so here the project vision is mainly changeable based upon the understanding evolves of the requirements, architecture, plans as well as the technology. Okay, so based upon this, the project vision can be changeable or it can be unchangeable. So it depends upon what are the different types of the requirements. Now we'll see how the good vision of the project documentation will be there. And the first one is the future set description. Okay, in the future set description, we know that precedence as well as the priority. So they need to check that what are the main requirements during the initial stage of the project. And next one is the quality. So quality attributes and release. So they need to check that what are the different types of the metrics for each and every project. Okay, and they need to take the different types of the constraints. So whether the constraints can be internal or it can be external interfaces. So based upon that, they need to check that what are the main constraints will be applicable for that particular project. And next one is evolutionary appendices. So here in this engineering artifacts, this appendix is very important. Now we in detail we discuss. So generally we have the 2 types of appendix are there. Okay. Now here the first one is use cases. So mainly we need to check that based upon the UML, we need to have the different types of the appendix. One is use case. We know that in the use case, we can have the actors. Okay, and we need to check that what is the primary scenarios. Okay, and also what is the acceptance criteria and as well as the tolerance. And the last one is the desired freedoms, means whether we need to change the different types of the scenarios based upon the inputs. Okay, these inputs sometimes maybe changes depends upon the requirements. So here we have the two types of the appendix will be there. The first one is use case and another one is desired freedoms. So based upon the allocated of the requirements and the resources and the inputs, there we can have the different types of the changes of the scenarios will be there. So this can be how the desired freedoms of the evolutionary appendix. Okay, so the vision document is written from the user perspectives. So based upon the user perspectives, the vision document will be clearly written, and also they have the some features of the systems and acceptable of the level of quality. So the quality is very important because when they preparing some documentations, they need to check that what are the main user perspective and also what is the quality. So based upon the quality only, they need to design the software documentation as well as the products. The vision document should contain at least 2 appendix. So we have seen that. So we have the 2 types of the appendix will be there. The first one is, so it will be checking that operational concept using the use cases. So we are seeing that. So there we need to check that what is the scenario. So what is the primary scenario of that actors, and based upon the inputs, how we are going to build one. And next one is desired freedom. Okay, the second appendix we can have the describe the change risk. Okay, so based upon the requirements and the inputs, so we can have some freedoms to change the risk inheritance during the vision statements, and we can have the defensive design efforts. So here these are the main 2 appendix will be there, so that based upon the scenarios we can have the changes based upon the risk inheritance. And also here the vision statement can be description of what will be included. So there we need to check that whether we need to include these types of the requirements of the data in a particular vision document or not, or else we need to check that future considerations. Sometimes these future considerations not much included here, and also they need to verify about the operational capacities. These operational capacities such as the volumes, means based upon the quantity. So what is the main, how much quantity we can have the different types of the requirements. And the response time is very important because whenever we are transmitting the data, so within the time stipulated, the information has to be responded. So here we are going to calculate what is the response time of the sender to the receiver. And the accuracy means how much data, so efficiency can be improved. So we need to check the different types of the operational capacities, and also we need to check that user profiles and interoperational interfaces. So these can be how the different types of the boundaries where can be applicable. So based upon the means boundaries, so whether we need to have the different types of the boundaries, whichever the applicable there we need to set for the this operational capabilities. And next one is the vision should not be defined. So here we cannot define and operate different types of the levels here. So how this can be evaluated based upon the evaluation path. So based upon the evaluation path, we need to address what is the assessing design adaptability. So based upon the context of the accessing, so there we need to evaluate the what is the vision for that one. Okay, and also operational concept involves mainly the based upon the use cases and the scenarios for the nominal and off nominal. So here they need to check that. So who are the main actors as well as the scenarios between the when you are using the use cases. Okay, so this will be very important when you are performing the operational concept here. And also here the use case representations. So based upon the design freedoms, so there we can check that what is the risk will be there. So dynamic context for understanding Okay, so wherever we are applicable some changes, we are going to have the dynamic context for understanding, and also we are refining the scope. Okay, and we are checking that what is the integrity of the design model, and for developing the acceptance test procedures. And the last one in the vision documentation is they need to check the contractual basis for the requirements. So they need to discuss with the stakeholders. And the second one is architectural description. Okay, in the architectural description, mainly they're going to organize the what are the different types of the components and how they're going to build the software architecture under the development. So this can be how the in detail about the architecture description, and they need to extract it largely from the design models. So in the design model, they need to include the what are the views of the design implementations and deployment set sufficient to understand, and also they need to check that what are the different various requirement sets will be achieved, and also they need to check that what is the length and breadth of the architecture. Okay, so it will be the breadth will be differ from one architecture to the another architecture. Okay, and also it differ from the one project to the another project. So they may be considering the different types of the factors also, and here this architecture can be have the subset of the design model. So as I told that, so when you are including the different types of the modules, okay, sometimes these models can be clubbed like a subset of the design models. So there we can have the abstraction of the design models, or we can combine both the different types of the subset of the design models. So here we can consider the example how this can be considered the architecture. The first one is subset form can be satisfied. So the sub modules of the components can be satisfied based upon the table of the content, and also we can have the abstraction form. So in this abstraction form, we can have the clips note. So what is meant by clip note is nothing but it is in a classic books. So they can have the some guidelines. Okay, how the students can be have a look. Okay, they need to write some guidelines about this format based upon the abstraction, and they need to check that each and every what are the different types of the main material, and also they can consider the supplementary material. Okay, that sometimes it can be directly, or sometimes it can be not directly derivable from the MLA product. So in this diagram, we can have the architecture description. The first one is architecture overview. In the architecture overview, first we need to define the objectives. Okay, so what is the main objective of this project, and how we are going to define this architecture. And next one is we need to check that what are the main constraints. So they need to check that these constraints, so whether these constraints can be minimal or have the high risk, and also they can check that risk inheritance. This risk inheritance can be a small or medium, or it can be a huge. So based upon the architecture design, so the risk can be analyzed based upon the risk assessment. And also architecture views. In the architecture views, so there we can have the design view, process view, and component view, and deployment. So these will comes under in the UML diagrams. So there we can check that what is the design view of the architecture, and the process, component, as well as the deployment views here. And in the third scenario, we can have the architectural interactions. So in the architectural interactions, mainly we need to check that what is the primary scenario, the operational concepts, and next one is operational concept under the second scenario, and we need to check the different types of the constraints, operational concepts under the anomalous conditions. So where the different types of the conditions can be applicable. The next one is architecture performance. So when you're designing the architecture, different types of the components, we need to check that what is the architecture performance will be there. And the last one is the rational trade-offs and other substantials. So these are the main criteria which will be applicable for the architecture descriptions. Okay. And here, the last one is software user manual. So here in the engineering and crafts, mainly the documentation will be playing a crucial role here, because when they are going to develop the software, so based upon the documentation only, they are going to design the software or any product. So the documentation of the user manual is very important for the developing the software as well as the who are purchasing the software. So based upon the user manual, they need to first read out the user manual and they can install the software. Okay. Now we'll see here the software user manual provides the user with the reference documentation. Okay. When for example, if I purchase the Kaspersky antivirus, first I need to study about the user manual. Okay, so then I can get the idea. So what is the reference documentation, how it will be works, and what are the different types of the components can be applicable for that antivirus. So here this will be mainly used for the reference documentation, so that it will be supporting the what are the software I have purchased here. The next one is, although the content is highly variable, so it depends upon the domains. For example, the Kaspersky can be applicable in the Windows or it can be used in the Linux or different types of the platforms. So it sometimes it may be very depends upon the domains. So we need to check that specific, so which will be applicable. If you are considering the Windows, so we need to check that this software can be applicable for these domains or not, and we need to verify the user manual and also the installation procedures, usage procedures and guidelines, and operational constraints and user interface description. So here mainly we need to check that whenever we are considering the software, okay, installation, we need to check that which domain it will be applicable and what is the platform can be very easily or smoothly can be installed. Okay, sometimes we need to check that if you are wrongly installing the software in a different types of the domains, so it will not support. So that's why we need to verify the user manual before installing any software here. And also the software products with a user interface. Nowadays, we can have that the user interface is very friendly, because previously we don't have, so we need to follow some procedures to have the user interface very effectively. But here nowadays, we can have it is inbuilt with the software products, and this manual should be developed early. So this can be how the design part of the user interface is built before, and also the mechanisms and important of the different types of the subsets of requirements. Okay, and here the user manual should be written by members of the test team. Okay, why means why the test team can be written the user manual, because initially, okay, the test team will be checking the what are the different types of the bugs will be occurred. Okay, so while they are executing the software or the code part, so there they are going to verify about the different types of the bugs, and they are going to handle the different various types of the bugs. So that's why they are given the user manual should be written by the members of the test team, so they can have the clear idea about how the software will be works and the bugs can be handled. So who are more likely to understand the user perspective. So this is very clearly that the test team have the clear idea about the user perspective compared to the development team, because the development team they will simply design the or they will write the code only. But the test team, they can have the different types of the glass here, how the various software can be executed, and they can how this exceptional handling can be handled. So that's why the test team can be written the user manual, because it will be very effectively for writing the user manual and can be how the glance of, about how the users can perspective. And if the test team is responsible for the manual, then it can be generated in parallel with development. Okay, so they need to first the development team will be sitting, so they will write the code. Okay, so after writing the code, the test team will be checking the different types of the constraints here, and they are going to be responsible for doing the manual. So they are checking that LLA as a tangible. So we know that tangible is nothing but we can sense and we can feel here. Okay, so that based upon that we can check that what is the relevance of the different types of the emerging criteria for doing the manual. And also we have the test plans and the test cases. Okay, so this is very important here. The various, as I told that here, this testing can be handling the different types of the bugs. They can know that what is the risk will be happen when the bugs will be generated. More bugs will be generated. So here the main basics will be provided for the test plans and the test cases, so that they can have the automated test tools. So this, when they're using this automated test source, so this will be handling very effectively to minimize the bugs. So zero bugs or minimal bugs, because when they develop, delivering the product to the end users, there should not be any bugs here. So with the help of the automated test source, so it will be minimizing the bugs here. Okay, so these are the reference I have referred for this topic.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.